You know, sometimes I think that when you think that something doesn't really go, but then you think maybe it does go, that's fashion. Hey y'all, welcome to this really exciting video on this chaotic day in this stressful year. I am so excited to be collaborating with Mia from Mia's Virtual Vanity. She is one of my favorite people to watch on YouTube and one of the people who impresses me the most. You guys, I mean, if you were to ask me, like flash question round, what is a YouTube channel that you feel like if you could pick one that would like pop off and grow in 2021, I would be like Mia's Virtual Vanity. She deserves subscribers upon subscribers upon subscribers. And so I would just like to leverage whatever tiny power I have here on my corner of the internet to help that happen, because she's so incisively brilliant. She has this like sharp, intense wit, and she's really funny. And she also uses language in one of the most glorious ways of anyone that I watch on YouTube, maybe the most glorious way. And English isn't even her first language. So it's just like a jaw-dropping experience. Jaw-dropping. Speaking of the English language, it is just a jaw-dropping experience to watch her. And she is so deep in just this world of seeing what's released in the makeup market, feeling all the feelings, being critical of it, but still loving it and trying to keep that balance, like that push-pull. That's part of what I'm all about too, and that's part of why I love her channel so much. And I think that if you like my content, you will like hers, especially this video, because we're going to be anti-hauling all of the new holiday, not all the holiday releases, but the briefest to anti-haul holiday releases. So we'll probably have picked different things. But I'll tell you, I wanted to do this as our collab because I love Mia's anti-hauls, but I also knew that I was kind of shooting myself in the foot a little bit because I guarantee you that hers will be better and funnier than mine. So if you want to keep watching mine, that's fine. But if you love a funny, incisive, just dark, wonderful anti-haul, then just click out of this video and go watch Mia's. If you happen to be new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm Hannah and I love beautiful things, but I don't love overspending. I don't love it for myself and I don't love it for you. So here on my channel, we love beauty, we appreciate beauty, but we're always keeping an ear to the ground to make sure that we don't get out of control. If that sounds good to you, I hope you'll subscribe, and let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. You're seeing a lot more of my forehead today than you usually see, and that is because my bangs, if you watched yesterday's quick get ready with me with the advent calendar makeup, you'll know this. My bangs are like, right now, like my bangs have had it. They're like abandoning ship. I need to wash my hair tonight, finally. So for this video, I was just like, okay, I'm putting on this headband. And then my forehead was like, ah, like the rising sun. Hey guys, I actually just finished filming the entire video. Spoiler alert, it was super fun. I hope you'll stick it out with me to the end. But I finished it, and then I remember that there was something that I meant to tell you right at the beginning. So I'm filming this little bit. I'm going to stick it in right at the beginning of the video. I talked about this in my Get Ready With Me yesterday in a more casual way, but I'm about to embark on the taking of a 6-week online course in compassion. It's a compassion immersion class that's being run by an old friend of mine, actually, who I think is really incredibly brilliant. She's starting this project, which is called Training a Million Compassionate Americans. But you don't have to be American to take the course. It's just the project. That's like the way she's conceived of the project. But I think that it's like a worldwide community. So you can join it if you want. It is paid, but the payment's on a sliding scale, and it's really quite affordable, especially for what's being offered. I'm not like advertising it or anything. It's just something that I, on a whim, decided to do last week. And then as I was filling out the initial, I was like reading the initial readings for the course, and there's a little part that's like encouraging you to invite your loved ones or friends or community members to take the course with you. And I was like, I'm gonna just ask my subscribers, and in case anyone, for me, it feels like it's the balm, the balm that my troubled soul needs right now. Like when I found out about it, I was like, this couldn't be coming at a better time, and it's really what I need right now. And I'm guessing that there are probably a couple of you out there, maybe even just one of you out there, for whom it is also the balm that you need. So I just wanted to make sure that I let you know now, because the first meeting is tomorrow. And it's not too late to sign up. but I think tomorrow morning is the first one, and I think after that it will be. So it's every Sunday morning for an hour for the next 6 weeks starting tomorrow, and I do hope that you'll join me. All the info will be linked down below. All right, let's get into it. So Mia and I, we were like, we're just gonna anti-haul holiday releases, but we didn't decide which ones it would be. And so I picked my own. Like I picked the ones I wanted to talk about. And I waffled for a little bit. I went back and forth about whether I should just anti-haul things that I consider to be basically like mystifying garbage. Like what? Like just like completely the low-hanging fruit, as Mia would say, like the things that it's like, it's just too easy. I could have done a whole video of that. And then I was like, but maybe I should anti-haul things that I kind of want, like the holiday releases that are kind of like interesting me on some level and kind of making me do a little bit of a double take and tell you why I'm not going to buy them. That's kind of like a good and proper anti-haul because there's some tension at least, you know? And then what I decided to do was to do both. So I have this group of things, I'm going to go through them, and they're mixed together. So some of it's mystifying garbage. Some of it is stuff that I kind of sort of on some level want, but I'm not going to buy. I'm anti-hauling it all. Let's go. Okay, so starting with mystifying garbage. I feel like this is actually the very definition of mystifying garbage. And this is something that has flown completely under my radar. Like I didn't even know this was a thing, and I barely still know it's a thing, even though I pulled up the tab and I'm about to talk about it with the picture up on the screen. What are you doing, Too Faced? It's like, I mean, first of all, still, after all these months, and maybe even over a year, all I can think about is that cake still. Like, I'm still not here for it with Too Faced. I still, it's just, I mean, it's burned on my brain, that cake. And so I should just put that out there because that's what I think of immediately when I see this. It's like mystifying cake. Putting that aside just to look at this, it's, I mean, so first of all, it's supposed to be holiday. I mean, I can tell it's supposed to be holiday because on Trendmood it's like hashtag holiday 2020. But then the themes of the palettes are jam and jam on bread, playing with video games, matches, and cat fur. And so, okay, that's fine. And also, didn't Too Faced already have some sort of peanut butter and jelly palette? Like, is this not that? Is this that? I know it's not that exactly, but it just seems like really recycling an old concept. And I even kind of feel that way about the Kitty Likes to Scratch, but is that already something that was released this year? It's so mystifying and it's so garbagey. And then also the palettes kind of all both look the same, right? That's My Jam and Let's Play. It's like there's barely a difference except that one leans a little more purple, and Light My Fire and Kitty Likes to Scratch, I guess they're a little bit more different, but they're both, you know, warm toned neutrals. Obviously this is not on the table for me because there have been really beautiful eyeshadow palettes that have come out recently with compelling color stories and, you know, from brands that I find very attractive, and I haven't been interested in buying those because I feel like I have all the eyeshadow I need, especially because I'm not out here doing like a full look every day. I'm not out here panning my eyeshadows left and right. I just feel like I have this core collection of eyeshadows that's probably going to last for years, and I'm trying to stave off intruders. So even if these were like 1 million times more compelling than they are, I probably still wouldn't be thinking about buying them. But I just feel like aside from that, my main criticism is that this is a real stretch to say that this is holiday. I mean, are they saying that it's holiday because it's like fun? Is that the definition of a holiday collection, Too Faced? Right, this one, I mean, mystifying garbage, I feel like is a bit harsh. It's a bit harsh of a moniker to apply to Viseart, but because I'm not looking at this and being like it's garbage to me, but it's definitely not in the category of things that I am compelled by, and I do find it a little bit mystifying. And it's this violet, the Liaison extension. So I guess that they had a palette that was like Violet Liaison. Now they're saying this is the extension of that. So I guess if they're really saying like if you already have the Violet palette and it's just not enough slightly purple, pale neutral mattes and enough shades of violet for you, then you can get this. I guess then it's less mystifying because that's exactly what this is. It's like 5 different shades of neutral mattes that are in very light colors with slight violet tinge, 5 different shades of violet itself, and then one mystifying sparkly sea green and one sparkly taupe. Like that's what this palette is. And so it's just, as an eyeshadow palette unto itself, it is mystifying, especially if you come from like the world of like watching all the releases and applying your makeup and thinking about it and following it like you follow the sports. Like that's kind of what I do. It's just kind of like, what is this team doing? But I see if it really is like an intense Violet Lovers extension of a Violet Lovers palette, then they did do that. But why did they do that? Are there so many Violet lovers who invested in a bunch of Viseart palettes clamoring for an extension of the Violet Liaison palette? Like, are you guys out there? I mean, are you those people? Are you that person? Because it isn't what I've heard through the grapevine. I haven't heard a bunch of people out there being like, all I want is for Viseart to come out with yet another Violet palette, but one that has a bunch of shades that are so close together that they would be indistinguishable from one another on the eyes. Okay, item number 3, mystifying garbage once again. This Physicians Formula, and I am a texture lover. Like, it's hard to fail to sell me on the idea of a thing that's extremely textured in one way or another. And this is just, it's like chaotic texture. It's chaotic evil texture. All of them individually, I kind of get why it's fun. Although, why does the one bronzer say matte on it? It's like, I feel like the person who they have on their team, or the people, never like studied design or went to school for design or took a class, or they're literally making it up. They have people on their team who are like, I'd like to try my hand at that. And that being design, like palette design and patterns. They're like, I'd like to try my hand at that. Will you just give me a chance? Meanwhile, there are like hundreds of thousands of graduates of design schools out there looking for jobs, and Physicians Formula is like, no, I'm just gonna see if my cousin wants to just give it a shot. Never used Photoshop before, but let's just try my cousin. Once again, we're gonna have stacked the video with mystifying garbage at the front. Didn't mean to. I was just going through trend mood and pulling things up, and I guess there's a lot of mystifying garbage floating around right now. Why? Okay, so I'm not one to talk about Glam Light because I've never tried anything by them. I don't even know that much about them. I've never gone to the website. All I know about them is what I've heard people talking about them on YouTube and seeing their pictures and seeing the advertising and stuff. I don't even follow them on Instagram. Like, I'm a noob. I'm a Glam Light noob, so take this with a grain of salt. But my impression as such is that this palette looks exactly like not only several other rainbow palettes that they've released, but an actual other paint palette themed palette that they've released. Like they just did it again. They did it again. And it's like, it's not even like when you make a movie, like you produce the movie Home Alone and you're like, wow, that did well at the box office, let's make Home Alone 2. At least you're making Home Alone 2. You like write a different script and you have introduce some new characters and you have like a different plot arc and you maybe have it in a different setting. Like, that's the difference between Home Alone and Home Alone 2. This isn't even that. This isn't even a sequel. It's like they were like, wow, Home Alone did really well at the box office. Let's film Home Alone again, but we'll just do it like we'll let Macaulay Culkin's hair grow out a little. And we'll like give his mom a haircut and then film it again, the whole thing exactly the same. Maybe one different outfit on one character in one scene. And I just can't see that doing well at the box office. All right, here we've come across finally the first one that is something that I really think is stunningly beautiful. It's this Lunar Beauty palette. These swatches really got me in the gut, y'all. And I like this because these Prussian blues, these rich Prussian blues, and that has always been one of my favorite colors. I mean, Prussian blue, since I was a kid, like since I was a little kid and I first started learning about paint colors and the actual color names of pigments, like the official artist names of pigments. That I just remember being like 7 years old and being like Prussian blue. And I remember actually making like I had a oil pastels, and I remember doing like a landscape drawing with oil pastels when I was a kid, where I just wanted to use Prussian blue to fill the sky. And it was like almost the entire thing was just like a solid block of Prussian blue oil pastel. So I look at this and I'm like, the other thing about it is that this is a holiday release. It's Lunar Beauty's holiday release, but it's not cliche holiday. It's not like Christmassy red and green. It's not chintzy or cheesy. But because it has that blue, I feel like it does align with certain abstract color stories of holiday that we know. Like it reminds me of a blue Christmas. It reminds me of this certain kind, like some Christmas trees I've seen, some themes, and also it reminds me of like color theming around holidays that aren't Christmas too. You know what I mean? Like there are a lot of holidays at this time of year, and even New Year's, you know what I mean? Like Hanukkah, New Year's, and Christmas, I feel all three could be celebrated with eye looks from this palette and it would feel color appropriate. And so I really feel like Manny nailed it. Like this is maybe my favorite holiday release. Maybe I'm speaking too soon and I've forgotten all the other things, but this is one of the only things that's actually really impressed me in terms of the way in which it was conceived that's come out in a long time, actually. Again, I'm not buying eyeshadow. I mean, the other things are these really beautiful, shiny, like look at the third one up from the bottom. That looks a lot like JD Glow Unexpected. Like that looks really yummy. I just think it's stunning. I feel compelled to dupe the vibes of this, and maybe that is one of the things I should do during Vlogmas. Tell me if you'd like to see that. Actually, that I should do. I don't care if you'd like to see it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna film it tomorrow. Even the lip colors, they're like those chocolatey, pale chocolatey browns that I like. I like it, but I'm not gonna buy it. I'm gonna dupe the vibes. I don't need to buy this to get the feelings. I don't need to buy this to do the looks because I have eyeshadow already. So in that way, I'm anti-hauling it. I'm not gonna buy. Just because I like it and just because I feel like it's my favorite thing that I've seen released doesn't mean that I need to buy it. There's no social contract there where if you like a thing, then you have to buy it, or if you've gone along hating all the new makeup for months and then suddenly something comes out that you like, that doesn't mean you have to buy it. So that's the premise on which I'm anti-hauling this very beautiful palette. Okay, back to mystifying garbage. The Violet Voss Forget Me Not palette. This is the kind of blue that isn't reminiscent of anything to do with the holidays. And they didn't even try to make it that because they called it, like it's like flowers. That's the spring thing, Violet. Also, Violet Voss, I think they're using the same, they've called up the Physicians Formula's cousin and been like, hey, heard you're trying your hand at Photoshop lately for the first time. You want to design our palette covers? But the most mystifying thing about this, though, in addition, on top of transcending all of that, is that their colors look the same as each other. There's like two shiny teals that are barely different, three matte, I guess you could say two matte blues that are only a little different, and then there's a third one. They're all kind of like living in the same house. Two shiny dark cobalt blues that are the same. I mean, it's like this palette could be a quad, pretty much. Definitely six. But you could even, I feel like, take 4 of these shadows and build essentially every look that you could get with this entire palette. This is garbage and I find it mystifying. Okay, so this Colourpop, I don't think this is mystifying garbage. Like, I understand that this is, again, a very buyable, wearable, attractive thing to drop during one of their weeks around the holidays. Scrolling through to the Luxe lip oils, I think is what they are. One of these Luxe lip oils is that pale chocolate drizzle color that I always fall for. And I rarely these days see anything from Colourpop that makes me think that I might want to try it, that makes me feel like, ooh, I wonder if there's like a handful of things I could throw into my cart and order from Colourpop, you know, that thought that we always have. I haven't had that thought in a long time, actually. But when I scrolled through this, it's the Amoureux collection by Colourpop. The Luxe lip oils on the last page of the carousel There's the one on top that's that beautiful brown. I kind of want it. And even the orangey, the peachy orangey one underneath it looks really stunning. So this counts into the category of things that I kind of want, but I'm just not gonna buy it. I mean, I'm not gonna like place an order from Colourpop for some Luxe lip oils right now. I would rather just buy presents for my friends and family. And I should have mentioned this beginning of the video. I have a budget, a personal budget for makeup and other beautiful things that I've already spent for the year, so I wouldn't be allowed to. But I've come in way under budget for the past month or two on my channel's budget to review things. So there is part of me that's still kind of looking around thinking that if some brand drops some really incredible thing that I'm really impressed by, I could buy it for a review for my channel. So I still kind of have those feelers out, but I'm not going to like do that with Colourpop. I'm not going to put this on my wish list. I'm not going to buy it next year when my budget renews. And I'm also not going to buy it for a review, even though it's the kind of thing I really, really like. I just have plenty of stuff to put on my lips already. Dare I call some stuff from Charlotte Tilbury mystifying garbage? I mean, it's not really my inclination to be like, this Charlotte Tilbury product is likely garbage. It doesn't give me the garbage feeling in the same way that like the Too Faced palettes did. But I am mystified by the fact that Charlotte Tilbury is coming out with a bunch of products that don't feel high end and sort of trying to sell them in this like Charlotte Tilbury way where it's magic and it's like really exciting. But then I even feel like the branding cheapens the products, and the products I'm talking about are the Love tint, the lip and cheek tints. And then there's also these magic lip oils. And the lip oils in the swatches, they look the same. Like it's this thing where it's just a tinted oil. You know that it is. And you know that there are, if you're worried about skincare quality, like you really want to nourish your lips, you can get really good nourishing stuff for your lips at drugstore prices. Like you don't have to pay Charlotte Tilbury price for a lip oil to have decent ingredients. I feel like we pay Charlotte Tilbury prices for the really well calibrated makeup, like the formulas and also colors. Just she picks really sophisticated formulas, really is meticulous about the way that the formulas perform. But when it comes to a lip oil, the spectrum of its performance is pretty narrow, like from one that performs poorly to one that performs well. It's just like, it probably performs well, but so do a lot of others. And I just don't see, it's weird. I'm just like mystified by this as a choice. I just feel like she'd do a lot better trying to sell something that just isn't as like junky feeling. And it just adds insult to injury that you look at these swatches and you can't tell which girl is wearing which color. Like they look exactly the same. And then the lip and cheek tint things, I feel, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some of you have tried it and you're like, Hannah, you'd actually love it. It's really great. I just feel like there are probably like a ton of K-beauty ones out there, for example, that are just as good, if not better. And there's this weird, like the light pink and the light peach ones, you know that those aren't going to show up on your lips and cheeks if the formula is like a watery tint. It's just not how it works. And so that makes me feel like it wasn't very meticulously handled. And then the radiating heart branding also looks kind of cheap to me. So I'm privately, I'm over here being like, why is Charlotte Tilbury coming out with this mystifying garbage? Maybe other people feel differently. Oh, okay. So here's one that is not mystifying garbage because it's not mystifying to me. It might be garbage, but it's also not something I'm interested in. But I did just want to throw it up here and anti-haul it because I feel like it's one of the most ostentatious holiday specific releases we've seen this year. Kylie x the Grinch. I understand this completely. It doesn't mystify me at all. Like it's 100%, I get it. It totally makes sense. She made, in the abstract, when you're coming from like a business point of view or like a makeup industry point of view, a very, very good decision. And I think that this has really been met with relatively universal kind of like approbation, even if people aren't saying that they love it and they're going to buy it. Most people are feeling the same way I'm feeling, which is like, touche, Kylie Jenner. Touche. Like she knows what she's doing. And it was pretty well executed. I don't want any of the makeup. Like, it wasn't well executed enough to make me want to do a double take, like to look at it again, because all it is just a perfectly balanced Grinch themed collect. It is exactly what you would expect if Kylie X'd the Grinch and they hit it out of the park. It's probably not all garbage, but I don't want it either. I just wanted to talk about it because I'm talking about holiday releases, and there it is. Oh, this is something, have you seen this? I haven't seen anyone talking about this. This Fantasia collection. It's funny because I am usually completely immune to the nostalgia urges of a makeup consumer. Like, it's a button that the industry continues to push, right? I mean, I do understand it. Like, I've heard people talking about it, and it's not that I think it's dumb or that I don't understand it, but even if I didn't, I would know that a lot of people are really susceptible to it just by the fact that it's so common. Like, these collabs are so common. These collabs with intellectual properties and Disney stuff, it's just all over the place. So it must work really, really well. Things like this must fly off the shelves. But I personally am usually pretty immune to it. Even if it's an IP that I have a connection to, I usually look at it and I'm like, well, I do really like Baby Yoda, but it doesn't mean that I want a Baby Yoda themed eyeshadow palette sitting on my vanity. Like, I feel like my appreciation of Baby Yoda it's come from like a separate part of my life. It's like in a separate room in my brain, you know, from my makeup, which I love my makeup to be beautiful and to feel exciting, but I like it to hold its own as makeup, to like be beautiful and exciting for its own sake and not because it's like an echo of something I appreciate in another sphere, you know? So that's the way I've always approached it. That's the relationship I have with my makeup shaped beautiful things. But once in a while, something will come out that plucks at my little heartstring and makes me understand where people are coming from when they go head over heels for these collections. The only other time that I can remember it happening is when there was a Little Mermaid themed makeup. It was like, it was so chintzy and cheesy. It was like a fake pearl encrusted like jewelry box or clutch, makeup clutch or something like that. And it was super cheesy. It was like that puffy rubberized cutout of Ariel. And it was just so not the kind of thing that I usually like to collect. But I saw it, and with this visceral kind of like unthinking part of me, I was like, I want that. It just made me feel like, you know, like excited. And it's because The Little Mermaid is my movie. Like, it's the first movie I ever saw in the theaters when I was 6 years old, was when it was released. And I loved that soundtrack, and I listened to it basically from then all the way through until I was like 10 years old or something. And it's so imprinted, it's so like deeply ingrained in my personal history and psyche. Something about that childish, puffy, like rubberized Ariel, it made my stomach flip, you know. Needless to say, I did not go on to buy that. You can feel that. Again, there's no contract. Just because something makes you feel that doesn't mean that you have to buy it. And I didn't actually want it. I don't actually want to own it. But this, I think, for the second time in my life, has made the same thing happen to me. And it's not the whole collection. It's just the little brush that's shaped like the broom from The Sorcerer's Apprentice. You know, when the brooms sprout arms and start carrying the buckets. And it's funny because I didn't have a TV really for most of my childhood. And you know, there would like intermittently be one around, but we didn't like chain watch television, and we didn't really chain watch movies either. I just didn't really watch that much on screen when I was a kid. But I did watch The Little Mermaid a lot. Like, I had occasion to watch it on several occasions, and I repeat watched The Little Mermaid. And Fantasia is a movie that I repeat watched as well. Those are two of the handful of Disney movies that I actually saw several times over as a child. And I think that that's why they make me feel those feelings. And I've never thought about the fact that perhaps the reason that I feel so much more immune to that stomach flip than a lot of people do is because I just didn't consume that much screen media, like TV or film media, as a kid. But that probably is the reason. Anyway, I'm not going to buy this, but but how cute is it? This is one I have mixed feelings about. I'm mixed between whether it's mystifying garbage and whether it's something that I want. It's the what's her face, the Kim Kardashian KKW makeup thingy. I feel the thing that's mystifying about it is that it looks so completely indistinguishable from everything that she's ever released, like the eyeshadow palette. And I know that this is a boring thing to say because it's what everyone says. And I know that the logical retort is just that it must be selling. Like they must sell, and she must know, she must have done some internal research and know that her target customer is not going to buy an eyeshadow palette with a more dynamic color story no matter what. And they are going to keep buying palette after palette after palette with this same color story. And so that's why she's doing it. It's 100% sales driven. You know that that's what it is. So whatever, like we know that that's the deal with KKW. That's what we expect from her. But on a creative level, it's mystifying and it's garbage. The other stuff though that people keep talking about, it's these lip liners. Like people keep talking about these lip liners and are they lipsticks? Glosses, little mini glosses. Everybody who I see talk about this on YouTube, new makeup releases and beauty news and stuff, everyone says exactly what I've been saying. They're like, this eyeshadow palette looks exactly like all the other eyeshadow I've ever made. And then they're like, but I want the set of mini liners and glosses. Everyone's like, I want it. So she's doing something right. The idea of like a spectrum of nude lip liners. I mean, you guys know I'm into that. I recently shopped my stash for wish list dupes. And one of the things that I did was to shop my stash for my entire collection of nude lip liners. It was like 5 or 6. Like I had in my hand a handful of lip liners in shades of nude. And I've been keeping them on my vanity and using them every day. And it's great. That's a great thing to have. It's great to have like a little handful of nude lip liners in slightly different shades to go with slightly different looks and slightly different colors of lip color and stuff like that. So I'm drawn in by it the same way that a lot of people are. But here's what I'll say. I don't feel this way about the lip glosses because I hate dinky little minis of things. Lip pencils and eye pencils that are minis, I don't feel that same way about because they're not smaller in every aspect. They're just shorter. So I feel like it's like buying, because they still have to fit into a regular sharpener, right? They have to be like the regular size. So I feel like it's like buying a bunch of lip pencils that are half gone already, and it takes so long to go through a lip pencil anyway that it doesn't feel like a bad deal to me. So I understand why people want this, and to be frank, I kind of want it too. Like I totally want it. But I just told you that I have a handful of nude lip liners of my own, all of which have been handpicked by me over the course of my illustrious career as a makeup buyer. And they're all more perfect for me probably than most or all of these are. So why would I need to like double up on that by buying this set just because it's released around the holidays and just because it was a good idea? I don't. So I'm not going to. Okay, so this is one that I put in. This is the Este Lauder X Met Museum. And I think I remember watching beauty news and hearing this is exorbitantly expensive, which is as good a reason as any. As good a reason as any. Yeah. As good a reason as any not to buy it. But I specifically put it in here because I wanted to talk about it, the effect that it has on me aesthetically, because it's so freaking beautiful, the packaging. I mean, these compacts and the colors and just the shiny gold. And I feel like this is also a stunning leveraging of kind of like traditional holiday aesthetics into something fresh and modern and new and different because it's a collaboration with the Met Museum. But you have to look at the actual makeup. Like the eyeshadow compact is so beautiful. And then you look at the colors inside and it's like, no girl, no. Like actually, if you do love the way that the eyeshadow palette looks and you're like, yes, girl, yes, I would wear that. The Persona Cosmetics Identity 2 palette has all of these colors pretty much, and then it also has the neutrals that make this a workable color story. The thing is that this doesn't really have that. It doesn't really have those like blending shades. It doesn't have the balancing factor. So I think there's a chance it would be quite difficult to work with. But if you love the color story, check out the Persona Cosmetics Identity 2 because it looks exactly like this, but it's much more user-friendly. It's much more like wearable. But in this case, I look at it and I'm like, wow, like the way that I feel like they designed this eyeshadow palette for the colors in the palette to look good with the outer packaging. And they didn't really think about whether it would wear well on the eyes or like work well in someone's makeup bag. And because of that, when you look at it, and I actually feel that way kind of about the lip colors too. I feel that way about all of this makeup. It's packaging first, and then color stories are there to the color stories of the makeup are there to complement the packaging. So when you look at it, it really does a number. I should say, when I look at it, it really does a number on me, on like the aesthetic appreciation part of my brain, because it's just, I find it very, very beautiful. It's like a photograph of the most beautiful makeup, or a painting of the concept of makeup, the idea of the thing and not the thing itself. But when it comes to buying makeup, I really like to double check with myself and make sure that I'm happy that I'm buying the thing itself. Meaning that I would really want to wear this red. I wouldn't. It's too cool tone for me. I would really want to wear this purple. I wouldn't. It's purple. I would really want to wear this eyeshadow palette. I wouldn't. But I would really want to wear this powder in this compact. I wouldn't. Like I love looking at the idea of the thing, but I don't want to wear the makeup itself. All right, and lastly, this is the last thing I want to talk about. Is this the same thing? I was just talking about loving the idea of the thing, but not the thing itself. No, this isn't the same thing. This is different. I'm still not going to buy it, but this is, again, something that I kind of want, or like I feel feelings about. It's Trixie Cosmetics' new release. And I really love Trixie. Like I haven't watched all of the videos on her YouTube channel. I don't like watch her religiously, but I have watched a lot of them. And my favorite videos that she's ever made were her doll collection. Y'all, if you haven't seen that, Trixie Mattel gives you a tour of her Barbie collection through the ages, like starting in the 60s, and it's like each decade is spotlit in a different video. It's so good. I highly recommend that. I'll try to remember to link that down below, but it's easily searchable. Anyway, Trixie is a drag queen. I think a lot of people know. She's like a very, very famous, a world famous drag queen. And she has this makeup line, and nothing from it has ever compelled me before. And I've talked about her makeup line before as a case study in liking a celebrity and appreciating that celebrity's work as an entertainer, but not having that, again, it's not a contract. Just because you like a celebrity doesn't mean that when they release makeup, you have to buy it, right? Because I like Trixie a lot and I follow her career with great interest, but she started coming out with this makeup with like these bright pink lipsticks and like really bright Barbie. Like I like a bright pink lipstick of a certain kind, but it just wasn't my aesthetic, wasn't my jam. She came out with a face palette like this last year, but it was like, again, pinks, you know, like these candy pinks, very Trixie, but not very HLP. Now, this is the first thing, this face palette, which is called Mod About You. It's the first thing that Trixie's ever come out with that has captured my imagination in any capacity. The highlighter is fine. I have highlighters, I have champagne highlighters, take it or leave it. It's the other two, the blushes. There's something about this brilliant coral blush, which, you know, it would be an artistic project for me putting it on. It would be not everyday makeup. It would be something really extreme. I could use it as an eyeshadow. And then if I brought it down onto my cheeks, it would be very, very statement and intense, kind of like the way in which I kind of dabble in what I consider to be my own drag. You know what I mean? But the color itself, I think it's a combination of the idea of that kind of playtime type of makeup and the color itself being a color that I really love, that has made me kind of look at this palette. And then the middle one, Plush Bunny, looks like a very good blush color for me, like really, really pretty. But I do not need more powder blush. It's the last thing I need because I mostly wear cream cheeks. And I have a, for me, pretty substantial collection of powder blushes that I really, really love. And I am starting to get into wearing them more since I decluttered my cheek products. But even still, it's like I could like take 10 years to go through all that powder blush. So I really don't need more powdered cheeks like this. But maybe more importantly than that, I have an eyeshadow that's this color, this deep, rich coral, which is really the thing that's causing me to look back at this palette again and again. That middle blush shade is really beautiful, but it's like the cherry on top. It's like the secondary whisper that's being like, and you'd get me too, and I'm so pretty too. But the thing that's really getting me is that deep, rich coral. Colourpop Martian, I think, is the eyeshadow that I have that's that exact color. And I could just put it on my cheeks and get that look. I probably only want to do it one time. And then I'll have sated my desire to do that. And then it'll be over. And it would make no sense for me to buy this whole entire palette just to do that, just to play with that idea one time. So I'm going to do it with my eyeshadow. That's it. Don't need to buy this. Don't need to buy any of this. That was me anti-hauling a bunch of holiday releases, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Mia, thank you so much for collaborating with me and getting me to do this video. I probably wouldn't have done this if I hadn't been doing the collab with Mia, but it was so much fun. It was just the thing to kind of take the edge off today. It really gets me going talking about new releases, and I definitely don't do it often enough. And I feel honored to be doing it in collaboration with Mia because I feel like she really is the queen of the anti-haul, and she really knows how to like get in amongst new releases and unpack them. So I can't wait to watch Mia's video, and I hope that you guys, if you haven't already, will click over there and watch it right now. I'll link it at the top of the description box down below. Thank you all for being here, and don't forget to take extra good care. Oh, there's something I forgot to say. There's something I forgot to tell you. Shoot, maybe I should film this and put it in the beginning of the video. It's the thing about the course, the 6-week course in compassion that I'm about to take. I'm going to film a quick little interstitial and put it at the beginning of the video, but you'll have already seen it because I'll already have stuck it in. Here's a reminder, if you're interested in that, I'll also link that down below. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself today and for the next 6 weeks so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work.